Let's go ahead and clap that up. Shalom. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, coming out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. And since 1969, we've been teaching so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and the Indigenous our true identity according to the Bible, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, or the Lord's chosen people according to the scriptures. And of course, our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Today, we'll be going into New Year's Eve. You understand how it is that it's not of our culture, how it is white culture, just like every single holiday it is that our people practice, that the Christian pastors have promoted amongst us for so long. And we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it. You understand? So we're going to be starting off in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 31. So we're going to go ahead and touch on a little bit of the history before we get into the scriptures. You understand? So New Year's Eve is the worship of a Greek god known as Janus. You understand? Who is the god of beginnings or the god of doors. You understand? So, it's a man that's typically portrayed as having two faces. You understand? One face in the front, one in the back. And the Greeks with parties to them every single year have, all kinds of wickedness going on at those parties. And that's the same God it is that our people are worshiping in America now. Whenever we have these New Year's Eve parties and, just go out and wild out. Actually going to read a quick little article or paragraph. This is from classicalhistorian.com. And this is just to sum up, the worship of Janus and, how it is that it's the same God from, ancient Rome. Like you can go to any website and it'll tell you the same thing. And this is just a summed up version of it. It reads, why do we celebrate New Year's Day on January 1st and not March 20th? The United States of America and most Western countries trace much of their cultural heritage to the Roman Republic and to Judeo-Christian beliefs and practices. Before Julius Caesar, Romans celebrated March 1st as the new year because March is the first month in the Roman calendar. Romans had a festival to honor their god, Mars, god of war. In 45 BC, Julius Caesar reformed the Roman calendar and changed the celebration of the new year to January 1st in honor of Janus, the Roman god who January is named after. The god Janus was also shown with two faces, one looking to the past and one looking ahead. On this day, the Romans exchanged gifts and promised to be better with each other in the new year. Romans also celebrated this day by throwing parties, food, drink, and dancing. You know, saying that sounds exactly like the New Year's Eve celebrations that our people partake in nowadays. You know, and if you didn't know, America has gotten a lot of its, society or culture from, the Roman Empire. You know, and they just simply copied and pasted, that Roman way of life and brought it up over here. That's why so many celebrations it is that America has, they can be found in Rome. They just simply changed the name of it. Or like the article said, they made it seem like it was in the Bible, much like Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Which is not in the scripture. There's one more thing. And the reason Janus is portrayed with two faces is, much like our people say nowadays, don't look at my past. I'm a new person today. Like Janice, he'd look at your past, all the disgusting things it is that you've done, and it's just like, he does away with it. And that face looking forward, that's who you're gonna be. That's you know it's nonsense. That's the nonsense of New Year's Eve, of Christianity, of this American way of life that our people have adopted and became so accustomed to. This book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. And so our people, we shouldn't be desiring to be like our oppressor. You understand? Like our oppressor, like these holidays, they belong to him. You're saying the Christmas, the Halloween, the Thanksgiving, the New Year's Eve, all of these different man-made holidays that our people love so much and hold dear in America, like that's not part of our culture. That's the culture of our oppressor. That's the Roman Empire's holidays that we hold so dear, that we go out of our way to celebrate every single year. And it's not just with the holidays, it's with everything it is that we do as a nation. Like we shouldn't be desiring to be like our oppressor. You know what I'm saying? You go through any city in America, and our people are the most patriotic, diehard Americans, no matter where it is that you go, no matter what conditions it is that we're living in as an individual or as a people. You understand? And we get that from our oppressor. We see how our oppressor rides around with the American flags and we see his power it is that he has within his government, and how it is that he, damn near caused a insurrection at the Capitol. And our people desire to be like that. You're saying we might not go out and take up arms and try to overthrow the government like our oppressor, but we'll be supportive in our own kind of way. You understand? By voting, by just becoming fully invested into this society, into this empire. And that's also with every other nation out there. Like our people, we get fully invested in any heathen nation we think will change our condition. When all of these different empires, they oppress us as a people. You understand? They don't show us any kind of mercy, and they don't show us, who we are as a nation. Like these heathen nations, they know who we are. They know that we're the 12 tribes of Israel, and that we're not some, disgusting African or Mongoloid. Like they know who we are. And instead of them letting us know that, New Year's Eve ain't part of our culture, Christmas isn't part of our culture, and all that, they allow for us to remain destroyed. Not saying it's their duty to raise us up as a people or to tell us who we are, but if they truly had love and compassion for us like we do for them, they would do such a thing. You understand? They would simply, nudge us in the right path. But that goes to show that not every single nation cares for us. You say, as far as the Isupk is concerned, no nation cares for Blacks, Hispanics, and the Indigenous. That's why we got to start coming together and joining our own. Why it is that we have to leave behind our oppressors' holidays, and why it is that we have to come back to keeping the high holy days of the Bible, which is Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous culture. Slovakia. We're going to look to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 18 and verse 30 in the Apocrypha. I'll give you a second to get there. It's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 18, verse 30 in the Apocrypha. There, the water. I'll just say, we'll get it taken care of, the water. Book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 18 and verse 30 in the Apocrypha. Go not after thy lust. I'm saying, and that's something that the Christian church doesn't teach our people, is to not go after our lusts. I'm saying, to go after something fleshly it is that we desire. So that's why our people abuse ourselves every single year. That's why we abuse ourselves every single year doing this, like during New Year's Eve. Why it is that so many of us go out and just get piss poor drunk, saying so much so that we end up hospitalized. You understand? Brothers and sisters end up in comas, you understand, from alcohol poisoning because of how it is they drink, because they don't deny themselves their lust. You understand? Brothers and sisters go out and get high out of their minds off of every single drug known to man, simply because it's New Year's Eve, simply because it's them, about to become a new person, and they want to leave all that drug addiction in the past. When in reality, like, if you don't deny your lust now, you're saying, or even then during New Year's Eve, you're not going to deny yourself in the future, a day from then. You know what I'm saying? 8 to 12 hours from when you was, snorting coke and smoking weed, eating shrooms and smoking PCP, all that. Like, that's why the ISUPK is so important, because we teach our people that we can't remain in this state it is that we're in as a nation. Like, we can't just be out here, getting drunk all the time, or getting high, or chasing after whores or sister being whores. Like, that's not going to help our people, and it is really going to destroy us more and more. That's why there's so many murders that go on during these holidays. I believe Indianapolis, broke their record from the previous year on Christmas, because there were so many murders that happened, because so many brothers and sisters went out and got drunk, got high, and did some reckless behavior. Like, if we were taught from a young age, or even just in general by our so-called leaders, like, we wouldn't be living how we do. Like, because at this point we really live like a bunch of animals, because that is what our oppressor has taught us. He has taught us to live this way because that's how they lived back then. You understand? The Romans, whenever they'd celebrate their New Year's Eve or their Christmases, whether they had it as a different name or not, like, they would go out and get high, have all kinds of orgies, or just partake in sexual deviancy, get drunk, go out and commit murders. They do any and everything it is that they desired, and that's how our people live now. That's the kind of spirit it is that these holidays put onto you. That's why it's so important to come into this school. Otherwise, we're not going to know how to fight our lusts. We're not going to know how to fight our fleshly desires that are going to lead to our destruction. refrain thyself, from thine appetites. You understand? But instead of us, doing any and everything it is that we can get our hands on when it comes to these holidays, when it comes to everyday life, like we need to practice more self-control, more discipline as a people. Like that's something that we truly lack as a nation, is discipline. Because like we just go out and do whatever it is. And it don't matter if we were taught from a youth not to do it. It don't matter if we know that it'll ruin our life. You understand? We know we get locked up over it. We still go out and do it because we don't have any discipline as a people. And we'd much rather go out and have fun and try to escape from the oppression it is that we live under by getting high or getting drunk, or by going out and getting whores, or sisters being whores, just trying to find that thing that brings you just a smidge of pleasure in this hell it is that we live in as a people. When in reality, we got to fight those desires, and we got to do what the Lord told us to do as a people. You understand? We got to come back to keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, and living our lives how Christ or Yahawashi told us to, demanded that we do. We're going to go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 14, verse 5. I'll give you a second to get there. You understand? In the Isupk, we teach the complete opposite of what the Christian church teaches our people. You understand? We teach our people to have discipline and self-control, teach our people to fight our lusts so that we don't come up short of being perfect as Christ said we could be. So meanwhile, the Christian church tells us that all of our sins can be forgiven. You understand? Tell us that, all the wickedness it is that we've done, it can be left in the previous year, when that's simply not the case. It's not true. Like that's just the witchcraft it is that Christianity puts out there. And why it's so important for our people to recognize that, and to recognize how it is that we have been led astray for so long as a nation, and come back to the Most High God of Israel. You understand? The nigger God. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 14 and verse 5. He that is evil to himself. You understand? And some of the ways it is that our people are evil to ourselves. You understand? It like New Year's Eve is just the perfect example of how we're evil to ourselves, because brothers and sisters, like we've said, just go out and get piss poor drunk. You understand? They are killing their intestines and going out and committing, all kinds of reckless behavior while under the influence. You understand? Like we said, brothers and sisters have been put into comas from ingesting so much alcohol. You understand? Brothers and sisters, of course, have died from ingesting so much alcohol, have gotten into car accidents, have, beaten up a brother or sister, beaten their spouse because they was under the influence. They've destroyed relationships. Like getting to that point to where you have no, real control over yourself. Like, you are putting yourself at a, just an extreme risk when you're out here celebrating these holidays, and even in general. Like, you're not doing yourself any kind of good by having that kind of behavior. You know what I'm saying? It's really evil to do that to yourself. And of course, the amount of drugs it is that our people do. You know what I'm saying? There's brothers and sisters who do, coke, or, how's that called? PCP or spice, just on New Year's, so it is that they can say they've tried it once in their lifetime, and simply because it's on that specific day, at that specific time. Like, you're destroying your brain. You understand? All because you want to say, "Oh, I did this in my lifetime," knowing it's going to cut your life short. Like, Christianity has taught us not to give a damn about ourselves. You understand? Let alone have compassion on our people. We have no compassion towards ourselves. That's why we perform so many, hateful acts towards not only brothers and sisters, but, the individual as well. To whom will he be good? So brothers and sisters that are destroying their bodies, you understand, and destroying their minds with all this drugs and alcohol, with all the horrors it is you can get your hands on. Like, who are you going to be able to be good to when you don't even care about yourself? You're saying, if you have no love for yourself, you're not going to give a damn about the brother or sister, it's like, struggling next to you. Like, that's why so many acts of violence are committed on these holidays that our oppressor pushes on us. And that's why this Bible is so needed within our communities, because this Bible teaches us to care not only about our brothers and our sisters out here in the world, but it teaches you to care about yourself. You understand? It teaches you not to be a drug addict, not to be an alcoholic, not to be a whore or a murderer, not to be a thief. Like, these scriptures is the cure for our people's condition, and all we have to do is start following it. You understand? Getting a class here or there. We have classes Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. in damn near every state across this country. Like, there's probably about 5 states we don't have a school in. And even then, there is a school close enough to the border of your state to where you can get there within an hour or two. Like, this is the medicine it is that our people need in order to get out of this condition. All we gotta do is accept it. Understand you're afraid of, vaccines, and really that's about it. That's really all you're afraid of, is vaccines, because you're afraid of needles. But maybe if you grew up, you understand, just like you'd be able to tolerate that vaccine, you'd be able to accept this truth right here. But that, this is the only solution for our people. You understand? Ain't no just help you out. You understand? He's not going to open up a door or a portal to different dimensions so you can all of a sudden not be a drug addict. So you can all of a sudden not be a whore or a murderer or a thief. You understand? A drug dealer. The only fix for our people is right here in these scriptures. And the only way for you to understand these scriptures is to get into the Isupk under Commander General YAHANNA. That's the only way. That's the only solution. Saying otherwise, you're going to be the same person you were, the previous year, and the year before that, and the one before that. and the one before that. Nothing's going to change. Really, you're just going to get worse in reality. So read that from the top. Book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 14, verse 5. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? And that's such a heavy part of the scripture as well. You understand? Because so many of our people wonder why, like, there's such crazy things that go on during New Year's Eve, during the holidays. Why it is the sisters get their drinks spiked. You understand why there's so many shootings and robberies and rapes? It's because, like, those I can't even just say those brothers and sisters don't care about themselves, but it's really because the whole nation, like, we don't care about ourselves. Otherwise, we wouldn't be celebrating these holidays. You understand? We wouldn't be trying to love an animal that murders us every single day and oppresses us. Like that's one of the biggest. I don't know what word I'm looking for here. That's one of the biggest. Slaggy. Like a slap in the face. Say it again. So like a slap in the face. Yeah, it is a big slap in the face, but that should be one of the biggest things that reveals to us as a people that we don't really care about our own because we love our oppressors so much. Like, these are people who have done such atrocious things to our nation for 400 years, regardless of if their family was involved in it or the individual was involved in it. Like, their whole nation still profits off of it. You understand? Their nation doesn't speak up against the crimes that are still committed against us. Their nation does not give us any kind of justice for the crimes that they committed against us. And yet we still continue to love them and to defend them with our lives. You understand? Meanwhile, the Afghanistanians, they were able to, get some kind of relief for crimes that have been committed against them. And saying not too long ago, America accidentally murdered some civilians in a bombing, and they apologized, and I believe they paid the family for doing so. And they've been bombing the Middle East for decades, but yet they can get some kind of justice. They can get some kind of relief. Meanwhile, when it comes to our people, we get none of that. And we still love our oppressor. We still support him. We still go out and spend all of our money during his holidays and wish him Happy New Year and hope that he gets all the riches in the world on January 1st. You understand? When in reality, we should pray for the downfall of America and for the downfall of our oppressor. We should pray that America's citizens become our slaves as we have been theirs. And so then maybe we'll have some kind of love for ourselves as a nation. He shall not take pleasure in his goods. You know what I'm saying? The things it is that we have now, you know what I'm saying, we take for granted as a people. So that's why so many of us, always say New Year, new me, always, make the resolutions of how it is we're going to be getting all this money. Some brothers say how they're going to get all the hoes, get all the drugs, and whatever else nonsense it is we come up with in our heads. Like we don't appreciate what it is that we have as a people or as an individual. I'm saying all we look to do is to be like our oppressor and try to gain all of the riches in the world, when that's simply not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's not meant for us to worship Janus and to have good luck for the rest of the year. That's not meant for our people. You understand? We're meant to serve the Most High God of Israel, Yahweh in the Hebrew. And then our people will get all the riches it is that we desire. You understand? You'll have the entire earth. You won't just get a couple of $100 or $10,000. That's chump change when it comes to our real inheritance as a nation. You understand? You might not get all the hoes, but you can have as many wives as you want. That is Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous culture. All you gotta do is come back to keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, and fixing your life and living it how Christ said to, how Christ commanded for us to live our lives as a nation. You understand? And all of your wildest dreams could come true to a certain extent, I'll say. No drugs, no interracial relationships, none of that nonsense. But you'll have the earth. I mean, I'll take that over anything out here in the world. You understand? That's a hell of a reward, especially when it comes for a people who have been oppressed and destroyed for 400 years, who know nothing but to live in the gutters. You understand? Who know nothing but poverty and heartache. Like these scriptures, saying if you really get into them and get into these classes so you can understand these scriptures, it'll give you something forward to. It's like it'll give you something to look forward to. All we got to do is get in these classes. You understand? You can go to our website, www.isupk.com, and you can find the closest school to you. You understand? We are in, like I said, basically every major city across this country. You understand? We got school in Canada. We got schools in South America, in Alaska. You understand? We got a school in the UK. All you got to do is pick up that phone, and you'll be able to actually change your life. You don't have to make no false New Year's resolution thinking it's going to actually work. You understand? But you can actually fight to change your life in here. Verse 6. There is none worse than he that envieth himself. You know, there is nothing worse than desiring something for yourself. And when we say that, it's not, well, I shouldn't say it's not how you think, because really our people think, only about ourselves. Like when we desire something for ourselves, it's always going to be something, disgusting in the eyes of the Lord. Like so many of our people desire to, like we've said, get all the drugs in the world. And I said, I can already tell you there's countless brothers that came into this truth, when they was in the world. Like all brothers could think about is how high they're going to be getting for the rest of the year, what drugs it is that they can get into, what drugs can they sell. You understand? Just looking to just further destroy themselves. Like that's the only thing it is that we desire nowadays as a nation, is to further destroy ourselves. Like we don't desire to serve the Lord as a people. You understand? That's what every single Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous brother and sister should do, is desire to please the Lord, to serve the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Because when you please the Lord, you're gonna get rewarded for it. You know what I'm saying? Don't think you'll stay, heavily under these curses it is that our nation lives under. Like, you will be shown mercy from the Most High God. But we got to stop being so selfish as a nation. You understand? And that comes to anything, riches, the narcotics, alcohol, all of that. Like, just leave that for the heathens. You understand? The heathens, they can desire for themselves. They can desire to have all the money in this earth, acquiring it any kind of way it is that they deem fit. You understand? They can have all of the hashish and whatever other drugs it is, that our people try to get our hands on. They can have all that. They can have all the alcohol they desire. They can have all of that. You understand? But us as a people, we need to start desiring what the Lord wants. And this is the recompense of his wickedness. You understand? And our reward for being so carnal or so selfish is it's always something destructive. You understand? Our reward is always either jail time. You understand? It's some form of violence being committed against us for the wickedness it is that we've done to another brother or sister, or even heathen. You understand? Or worse, it's death. You understand? That's not a reward our people should desire to receive. You understand? We should desire to receive the blessings in Deuteronomy. You understand? The Lord said he would bless us for keeping his commandments. That's what we should desire as a people. And it's not like we don't know what's going to happen to us for, the crimes it is, or sins like it is that we've committed. Like, we know the Lord is going to punish us, or at least we know a higher power is going to punish us. You understand? That alone should be an incentive for us as a people, especially when we've seen how it is that our fathers, you understand, our uncles, our grandparents, our aunts, and our mother, how it is that they have gone through, these different curses, and how it is that they have been rewarded for wickedness it is that they've done. Like, we should see that and not want to follow in their footsteps. I'm saying we should teach our children not to follow in their footsteps and our footsteps. You understand? We should teach them to be perfect in the eyes of the Lord. And the only way to teach them to do so is to come into this school. You understand? You don't have to be a soldier if you come up in here, if you're a brother. You understand? You ain't got to be on the front lines of camp, risking your life in order to raise up the nation. You understand? You don't have to hold shamar at events, searching brothers and sisters down for guns and knives or explosives. You ain't got to do none of that. But you can be a student in here. You understand? You just sit in class, you learn. You understand? You start living your life how the ISUPK tells you to. You understand? Because we live our life how the Lord told us to. You understand? That's all you gotta do. And the same thing for sisters. All you gotta do is come get in class. You understand? Learn how to be a princess of Zion. That's all you gotta do. You understand? Lord willing, you get you a husband up in here, or you bring your husband from the world in here. You understand? He can be a student or a soldier. You understand? A priest or a prophet. Drop that. You're going to go to the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 9. Give you a second to get there. All right, it's the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 9. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what all these holidays it is that our people celebrate are. They're commandments of men. You understand? There's something that is man-made in order to benefit a specific group of people. And so that's why every single year our people put billions into the U.S. economy through Christmas. And saying why every single year we put millions into the economy for New Year's Eve, buying alcohol and going out clubbing and just splurging on the most absurd things. Slack you. You know what I'm saying? Because these holidays, because they are commandments of men, and because they don't come from the Most High God of Israel, like our people have to really take a step back and ask ourselves, should we really be, partaking in these celebrations? Should we really be sacrificing, such a large amount of money on these celebrations, knowing it's not of the Most High God? You understand? When we do so, like it'll really cause for us to look into, the origins of these different holidays. And saying because most of our people, we just take it for face value. You know what I'm saying? We take it for what our pastors have told us, which is that it's something that's accepted by God. You understand? It's been celebrated since the days of the prophets. When in reality, if you really look into these different holidays, like a lot of them, they have their roots in, pedophilia, you know what I'm saying, rape, torture. A lot of them, the other half of them, their roots are in the oppression of so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and the Indigenous. Like we really got to start looking into these holidays it is that we celebrate every single year. And it's saying because we unknowingly come against the Lord, we partake in. You know, saying we unknowingly dishonor our forefathers when we celebrate their holidays. You know, saying when we celebrate the holidays of the Romans, who were some of the most oppressive devils to our people that there ever was. and yet we honor them by partaking in their festivities. And it's the same thing with America. Just from the fact that it's an American holiday, like, we shouldn't want to celebrate it at all as a nation. You understand? It really, celebrating it is really a slap in the face to our forefathers, because our forefathers were slaves during this time. You understand? Our forefathers couldn't say, new year, new me, I'm now free. Like, they couldn't do that. You understand? They couldn't, change their lives, or believe in having good luck that year just because it was a new year. Like, that just doesn't happen for our people. You understand? It might be a thing for our oppressor, or the Arabs or the Asians. You understand? They're allowed to believe in luck, but Blacks, Hispanics, and the Indigenous, we're not. You understand? We got to believe in the Most High God of Israel. We're going to go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, and verse 1. Give you a second to get there. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saying destruction to the rebellious children, saying to the brothers and sisters who would much rather go out and worship Janus than to serve the Most High God. You understand? Destruction is going to come to them brothers and sisters, sadly, because the Lord is giving them a chance to come into this school, you understand, into the ISUPK. Like, the amount of access it is that our people have to this school and to these teachings, it is far greater than it was back in 1969. You understand? You had to run into the brothers on the street corners in order to get this truth back then. You know, so you had to be in a very specific spot during a specific time in order to get this truth. But nowadays, I mean, we're all over the internet. You understand? Like, you can look us up on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. What's some other social media sites? We're on Snapchat. Like, we are everywhere. There's no excuse as to why it is that really the entire nation is not in this organization. Why it is that we do not know our identity as a whole. You understand? And the Lord takes note of how it is that brothers and sisters ignore his priests and prophets, telling them that, these holidays are, Roman culture. You know what I'm saying? These holidays are not of the Most High God. And how it is that really the way of life it is that our people live, how it's not how the Lord wanted us to be as a people. You understand? The Lord wanted us to be a specific kind of way. You understand? That's why he said we are a special people. You understand? Special meaning separate or slightly holy, a holy people meaning separate. Like to be a drug addict, that's something of the Arabs or the Africans. You understand? You can look up videos all day of them getting high and just acting a fool because, I mean, they're ingesting, anything that gives a hallucinogenic effect. You understand? To be a selfish bastard, like that's our oppressor all the way. You understand? To be, a brother that makes whores out of sisters, or sisters being whores, like that's really any of these heathen nations. Like the things it is that we deem as normal, that's really something that is, out of the ordinary. It's just off. Like you can ask any brother or sister in here, you understand, about the habits of our people in the world, and we're gonna say it's off. You know what I'm saying? And when at the same time, our people think what we do is off. When in reality, what we're doing is Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous culture. What we're doing, it's how our forefathers, actually lived. Like we don't celebrate the Roman customs or Greek customs, American customs, however you want to slice it. It's all the same thing. Because like we said, America just copied and pasted, the Roman way of life, and just called themselves a different name. Like that's just a strange way to live. You understand? And because of the teachings of the ISUPK under Commanding General YAHANNA since 1969, because of the outreach, it is that this school has, been able to do. Like, our people, sadly, they're going to be punished for not coming in here, for not recognizing that the ISUPK is the Lord's house. And so there is really no excuse, because, I mean, our entire nation has heard of, the mission to Kuna, how it is that brothers in Texas, crossed the border and fed and clothed the Haitians who were fleeing from their country, trying to seek refuge with America. Because they thought, because the Afghanistanians who America was at war with, they were able to receive refuge and able to have some kind of relief. So, why couldn't we? You understand? We're just a boat trip away. You understand? But them brothers and sisters found out the hard way that America is the same way as the French. You understand? America hates the Haitians just as much as the French did. And they also found out that the ISUPK loves the so-called Haitians, the tribe of Levi, more than anybody out here ever has. Like nobody, like the Christian church did not go out of their way to help the Haitians who were stranded on the border, who were left there to really just die. You understand? Like, and those are supposed to be the priests of God and the house of God, and just the all around authority on the Bible. And saying, when in reality, the real priests and prophets went out there and helped them brothers and sisters. You understand? The Haitians found out that day about the ISUPK. Saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me. And every year, our people, they take counsel from America. You understand? They they keep an eye out for the so-called leadership of America whenever it comes time for a I guess a change for our people. You understand? Like, our people are always so heavily invested into the politicians, into the so-called leaders within our communities. When the counsel it is that our people get from them, it's not to benefit us. You know what I'm saying? If that was the case, we wouldn't be out here celebrating these holidays knowing how how many crimes are committed on those days. You know what I'm saying? How there is a higher rate of murder on Christmas, Halloween, New Year's Eve, all these popular holidays than any other time of the year. You know what I'm saying? Our people should be taking counsel from the Isupk under Command General YAHANNA. You know what I'm saying? Our people should be asking the Isupk, how is it we can solve the drug problems within our communities? You know what I'm saying? How is it that we can, stop sisters from being brutalized or raped within our communities? How can we stop the pedophilia that's going on? How can we stop the Christian church from stealing all of our money out of our pockets and out of our savings so that they can buy, fancy clothes and expensive cars? You understand? Like, this organization, we have the solution for our people. You understand? Just go look at the mission of Acuna. You understand? Them brothers out there, like, they gathered 14 trucks of supplies absolutely last minute and got them out there to the Haitians. You know what I'm saying? Solved the food crisis it was that they was having out there on the border, solved the water problem they was having. You understand? Brought them all kinds of medical supplies and hygiene supplies. You understand? Brought them material it is they could use for shelter. Like, the things that those brothers did out there under Captain Yatazak, you understand? Like, it was truly something beautiful. And that just proves that the Lord is really with the Isupk. You understand? Because, I mean, who else could have organized such a daring mission in such a short amount of time? You understand? Like, the Christian church, they had all the time in the world to prepare, and they never even got out there to the Haitians. You understand? Better yet, the damn border guards, they were telling Captain Yatazak and the brothers that was out there with him, they was telling them to give those supplies to the Christian church and they'll give it to the Haitians. You understand? But the Christian church only cares about themselves. They don't care about them Haitian brothers and sisters, just like they don't care about the Hispanic brothers and sisters who are still locked up in cages inside those ICE facilities. You understand? With the Isupk, we have not forgotten about them brothers and sisters, about them children who have gone missing and who have been, molested and reported it. We haven't forgotten about them, and we're fighting till this day in order to get them brothers and sisters up out of there. You understand? In order to get this truth to them brothers and sisters, so that the conditions that they're living in those facilities, you understand, can be, I should say, relieved. You understand? So they don't have to, so brothers don't have to be beat by the ICE guards. You understand? So brothers don't have to come up missing by the guards. So sisters don't have to be raped or come up missing and being sex trafficked by the guards who were tasked to protect them. And so the ISUPK is the only solution for these problems. And saying without us, I mean, these other nations would absolutely rip us apart. But thanks to the Most High God of Israel establishing this organization in 1969, there is a safe haven for Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous. You understand? There is a place where we don't have to worry about being destroyed. I'm going to drop that and go to Isaiah chapter 30, verse 20. Yeah, we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 30, verse 20. So it's going to be more so for the younger brothers and sisters in this truth who have to face their family and friends when it comes to, not celebrating these holidays of America. I'll give you a second to get there. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, and verse 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity, it's like it's saying, so though the Lord, it's saying this for the young brothers and sisters in the school, and even some of the brothers and sisters who have been here for a little while, because the the demon of wanting to celebrate holidays, it's always lurking and waiting for its opening to pounce. It's opening to influence you so that you do go to that Christmas dinner and open up them gifts. So you do go out and party on New Year's Eve and kiss the closest, brother or sister next to you. You understand? Let's read that from the top. Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity, so though you do face difficult times with coming up against your family when it comes to celebrating these holidays. Your family is going to look at you like you are absolutely nuts, because they've been taught for so long that the holidays that America, celebrates every single year, that it is of God, that it's in, the Bible somewhere, and that Christ himself at some point in time celebrated every single holiday that, America celebrates. You understand? Like your family is gonna look at you like you are in a cult, which it's not wrong. You understand? ISUK is the greatest cult on earth. You understand? But that's just something that you have to be prepared to face, is your family coming against you. You understand? Trying to do what it is that they can in order to influence you so that you do come to one of those holiday dinners so that you do, go open up presents, with the family on Christmas Eve. You understand? Like it's not an easy walk being in this truth. And that's something that you learn very early on before you even get into these classes. You understand? With especially if you're watching 12 show General Hyman classes every Thursday, instead every Monday, like you're gonna learn this walk. It's not for everybody. Like you're going to face hardships along this path. You understand? Along your journey in this truth. You understand? But it's our job to face those difficulties and to overcome them. So I'm telling you now, it's a very little, like it's such a small thing to you know to to really come up against your family for holidays. Like at least for me, it wasn't something major. Of course, it'll be different for the next brother or sister. You understand? But I know for a lot of brothers in that town, like it wasn't a difficult thing at all to tell your family you're not going to celebrate Christmas or New Year's Eve and to stand on it. You understand? But for brothers and sisters who are closer to their families and really get that Christmas and New Year's Eve spirit on them, putting on the sweaters and wearing them fake antlers around town and putting on the elf socks, for you brothers and sisters, it's going to be extremely difficult. You understand? But around here, we just don't give a damn about any of it. You understand? But that's just something you got to prepare yourself for. Is for your family and friends to come against you. It's like, and the water of affliction. You know what I'm saying, and it's gonna be, a painful time, especially if you come into this school around these holidays. Like it's gonna be real painful for you to, say no to the holidays and then getting, ridiculed for it. Like it can easily break a young brother or sister's spirit to be told that you're in a cult. You know what I'm saying? To be told that what you're doing is wicked in the eyes of the Lord because you chose not to worship a dumb god like Janus. You understand? Because you chose not to partake in what is supposed to be Christ's birthday. Like your family will be damn near ready to beat you down and to murder you because you choose not to stay in those ways. You understand? And really they're going to make it their mission to draw you into these different holidays, to draw you into these celebrations. You understand? With whatever crafty, underhanded thing it is that they can do in order to trick you into or to influence you into coming back into that way of life, to coming back into the world. You understand? That's why it's so important to lean on the brothers and sisters. You understand? Primarily the brothers. You understand? Because brothers give you scriptures, check you if you need it. Just give you good guidance. You understand? That's why brotherhood is so important to the nation. Because when your family's pressing you hard, you understand, when your best friend in the world is pressing you, saying you change and they don't know you anymore, and if they don't think that y'all can be like that, you lean on your brothers in this truth. You understand? You're like, we are always here for one another, no matter what time it is. You know what I'm saying? It can be goddamn like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I mean, a brother's gonna pick up the phone. If one brother doesn't pick up, the next one will. You understand? Like the brotherhood in this school, it's just something that is truly beautiful. Because no matter what it is that you're facing, you can always depend on one another. No matter what time it is, no matter what another brother has going on in his life, he might look at that phone and be like, I'm not in the best of mood. He can just call the next one. You understand? Right before he gets to that last ring, he'll run to his phone and be like, damn it. Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Shabbat. And he'll help you out with your problems. You understand? But that's the kind of compassion it is that this school has taught us. Because if we was in the world, we would look at that phone call and be like, man, I got my own things going on. I can't deal with this brother right now. You know what I'm saying? I have my own problems that I have to solve, and I can't help another man solve his. Like I got to focus on me. You understand? I understand he's got his own thing going on, but that's not what is important to me. Understand? But when you come into this school, you'll look at things differently. You understand? You start to realize, like, damn, I'm really, the only one this brother has that he can turn to in order to solve his problem. And so even though there's a man, of course, above every single brother, you understand, like you're still that one that a brother or sister calls because they need a problem solved, because they need counsel. You understand? They need guidance on something. They need something. And like that's just one of the beautiful things about this school, is that it raises brothers up in order to lead one another, in order to lead the nation. Yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore. And the ISUBK, we will not be, pushed to the side any longer. We won't be, like Scripture says, we won't be, tucked off in a corner to be forgotten about. You understand? We are here for our people. You understand? That's why it says thy teachers, like, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore. You understand? Because we are here to teach our people. We're here to make sure that, whatever situation brothers and sisters have, like we make sure that they can get through it the correct way. You understand? And then, down the line, they can teach another brother and sister how to get through that situation. You understand? Like we will not be pushed aside any longer by our oppressor, you understand, or by the Christian church, by the conscious community, you understand, by the Nation of Islam. Like the ISUBK, we are here to stay. You understand? And we've been here since 1969. You understand? Not budging, not being chased off of no corner. You understand? Not changing the true doctrine of these scriptures right here. You understand? We are here for the nation. You understand? Even if that means we got to face the most cutthroat of opponents, which, we all know that's our oppressor. You understand? The ISUBK, we face them every single day. You understand? Brothers got to deal with the FBI. You understand? Whether it's a trooper in the school or a 13 shield general. It's like a 13 shield commanding general, YAHANNA to be exact. You understand? Like there's just nothing that can budge this school, and that's because we have the Lord with us. You understand? Because of that, like this truth is going to get revealed to the earth, to our people, and our people are going to have to accept this truth because we have the Lord with us. You understand? Like we might not have the funding of the Christian church or the Nation of Islam. We might not be able to support the lust it is that our people desire, like the conscious community. You understand? But we will push this word right here. We will teach our people the truth, and we'll wake up this nation. But thine eyes shall see thy teachers. Saying that's just what the Haitian brothers saw, you understand, out there in Akuna. You understand? They saw the teachers. They saw the priests and prophets of the Lord, the ISUPK under commanding John YAHANNA. You understand? They saw us getting them in order, giving them food, giving them water, medical supplies, clothes, diapers. You understand? Bottles. Like we was doing some miraculous things out there. You understand? And it's only a matter of time before the whole nation sees the teachers. Say if they haven't already. But like I said, with that mission to Akuna, like the ISUPK was everywhere. You understand? We've been in national news. You understand? Like we've been all over the internet. We have been everywhere. Like the people know who the real priests and prophets of the Lord are. There is no mistaking it. I'm saying our record is without blemish. I'm saying like we do not allow for pedophilia to go on in here, unlike the Christian church, unlike the Nation of Islam, unlike the conscious community. We do not steal money from our people, unlike all those who have been listed. You understand? We don't sell drugs, unlike all those who have been listed. We don't promote abortions. We don't make whores out of sisters. We don't allow for sisters to be whores. Like we don't allow any of that in this organization. And our people are going to realize that we really need someone with a strong moral code in order to truly change our nation. You understand? And that someone is commanding General YAHANNA. You understand? Is the ISUPK, because we've been raised up under that man who hasn't budged, you understand, not even an inch since he took over the school in the 80s. You understand? Drop that and get more scripture. Gonna go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 and verse 1 in the Apocrypha. This will be our last scripture. We're going to go ahead and just get into it. The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 2 and verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. And saying that's such a heavy scripture that brothers and sisters should learn, while they're young in this truth. You know what I'm saying? Because though you come up in the ISUPK to serve the Lord, as so many men and sisters have before, you know what I'm saying, since 1969, but those who lost faith, who were unbelievers, you understand, they didn't prepare themselves for temptation. You understand? They didn't prepare themselves for that Christmas spirit of putting on the sweaters and the elf socks to come upon them. You understand? They didn't prepare themselves for that lust after all the drugs they get their hands on during New Year's Eve. Like that's why so many brothers and sisters have fallen in the past, because they weren't prepared for the temptations that were to come. Like you can't just come up in here and think that all of a sudden all the demons that were on you should was it 90 days? 90 days ago is all of a sudden gonna just disappear, and you're gonna be a brand new person. Like it doesn't work like that. It's a process. You understand? That's why you get the initial 90 days so that you can work on getting them demons off you. So you can work on fighting to being a better person. But don't think that those demons aren't going to come back harder and harder every single time. You understand? Like we brought out before, they're just going to be lurking. You understand? They're going to be waiting for their chance to strike. And when they see their opening, they're going to go for it. And before you know it, because you didn't prepare yourself, you understand, because you didn't lean on your brothers and sisters in this truth, because you didn't seek counsel, you understand, because you didn't, go to the men above you, you understand. Now you're out in the world with deer antlers on. You understand? You're out doing keg stands at an oppressor's party. You understand? With them just waiting for you to get piss poor drunk so they can lynch you. You understand? And in the woods in the back. You understand? You have to prepare yourself for temptation in here. You understand? Otherwise, you're going to be caught completely off guard, and then you just hit. You understand? You'll no longer be the brother or sister that we knew. You'll be whatever you were in the world. All right, with that said, we're going to get to these security announcements, maybe. ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry, tithes, which is a commandment. Book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10, means tenth in the Hebrew, Mayashara, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to treasury department or teacher, priest fund. It's a free will offering for priests. It's not mandatory. It's whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. I believe it's the Feast of Purim. Let me see if I can get a date real quick. So Feast of Purim will be February 14th to the 15th. Yeah, February 14th to the 15th of 2022. So if you have any questions, you can call the closest school to you. You understand? Just look us up on our website. www.isupk.com. And find out what it is you need to bring, what it is you can't have on you, all the good stuff. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and a war scarf. With that said, I'm Madyum, which means to stand. Wapanya Hakidum, which means to turn and face the east. The Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanalu, Shabashamayim, Kwadash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwatha, Daba'ah, Raptazayaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Nathan, Lanawa, Lakam, Ka, Yawam, Wasalakanawa, Kawabuwathinawa, Kasalakanawa, Kawabuwathinawa, Wala'a, Thabayayanawa, Banasaya 1, Abal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwath, Waha'ala, Wahathaparith, La'awalamyum, Aman. The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So be it. The prayer for the Hakak, or the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Bahashim Yahawashai, Babakusha, Nathananawa, Hakak, Hakak, La Rapa'ah, Ka Makala, Wakal Marawa, Hakak, Latahar, Hamatazarayim, Hakak, Lahakim, Hamathium, Hakak, Al-Rakawath, Hatama'ala, Lagarshan, Bahashem Yahawashai, the Aman. The prayer for the power in the English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahawashai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out in the name of Yahawashai. Thank you. So be it. Pray for the blessings in the Hebrew. Barak atha Yahweh, wa Yahawashai, wam yaka'ala, wa alahayim, matazab ya'ah, alawap YAHANNA, ha alawapyum, hazaranyum, ha kwatazayanyum, ha kayayayum, wa kwathin, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahawashai, Aman. Pray for the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahawashai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General YAHANNA, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushua, thank you, so be it. Sar, which means to turn. Yeshavia, for the sisters, which means to be seated. I'm going to give a salute to the brothers, men of Israel. Amadium Shabbat, Amadium Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Barakatham, Yadim Matah. Sisters Amadium, which means to stand. Sar, turn and face the sisters. I'm going to give a salute to the sisters, men of Israel. Amadium Shabbat, Amadium Barak, Yahweh Shamar Alatham Ba'ashem Yahushua. Yadim Matah. Class dismissed.